looking unbelievably weak. We thought this would be a 3-0 going into Game 3. I am now on the cusp of seeing Dusty finding this reverse sweep. I am flabbergasted. I am shocked. I was not expecting this. And it's been about these bot laners. Den Voxney has been phenomenal in these last 2 games. Attila was phenomenal in the first 2. Eyes on bot.
The question for X7 has always been, how in the heck do you beat them when they've gone undefeated throughout the entire playoffs series? But if you remember in the Bifrost series, Bifrost took 1 game off. Why? Because they had a very dominant bot lane with OD and Highway down there. The other team that was very close to taking a game off of them was the Astralis series, Game 1, where Crispec and Kiba had a very dominant bot lane performance again. These 2 teams found the code, they just couldn't crack it quite well in execution. Dusty seemed to be doing the same. Stent used to be a very high roaming support. Right now, he stays in lane, he plays the 2v2, and in the past 2 games, Dusty have come out on top.
And I think X7, they were not drafting for dominant 2v2, believing in just the power of their players, and that's been found wanting a little bit today. I mean, or rather, they're not just better than their opponents, they've been matched. The players on the Rift, they deserve to be here. They are aiming to be champions, and we have one last swing at it to determine who's who.
But Namera, is 3rd time the charm? With the Zeri?
We'll see. I mean, it's not going to...
3rd time charm, Ari?
I saw that, I was like, hang on a second.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I literally threw the pat at you. Come on.
Charm missed, much like my skill shots. See if Temp can do any better.
Save us, Hebron.
Why am I taking shots? I'm just sitting here. I'm one thing I really like about this mid lane and the fact that we're seeing backland on the Sylas was, you know, we kind of hit the nail on the head. Talia definitely not a backland champion. You're in Game 5 of Grand Finals on the cusp of reverse sweeping a team like X7. They are some really, really established names when you look at them on that front. You know, you've got LCK players, you've got Attila, you've got Kasing. It's such a storied roster for the side of X7, and you don't want to be picking discomfort here. You want to pick into your strong points, and backland has been a strong point. Him on these AP assassins, him, obviously we know he's capable of playing these AD champs, hasn't had the opportunity to, but his LeBlanc in these last 2 games has been, it's just cracked this game wide open.
And I think the amount of ability to go forward and to make the game-winning play, these players are playing to win. They're no longer playing to not lose, to passively just kind of play out the game and see if it works out for them. Now, that doesn't mean that X7 don't have abilities to do that too. Particularly, Chasey on that Gnar could throw a huge wrench into the works here because he was on that Fury and it wasn't going so well into matchups, which got taken over by Kerberos. That Gnar, if they start going well and they start being able to take over side lanes, this could be a very close game.
And also going back to the LeBlanc point, Backland has played 2 ranged champions this series, 2 melee champions. He's played Cat, he's played Akali. Didn't go very well. 2 AP melee champions. Now he's back on an AP melee champion, and the execution is gonna come into it. You need to be getting these huge nods. You need to be stealing them away. Maybe cataclysms to lock people in, get
Solar
these
Flare's got a huge
ricochets
AP
rolling.
ratio.
Exactly. So the thing with Backland is, yes, we know that he's a menace on the LeBlanc. Spring, his LeBlanc was stellar. Summer, he was solo bowling people on it. But when it comes to playing these melees, he needs to step up the performance.
I'm going to be that guy, though. I feel like the Sylas has way more impact than the likes of the Katarina. I know his Katarina had no impact, but
there was an Akali in there.
There was an Akali in there as well. Again, that was into the Sylas. That was into a hard matchup. I feel like this matchup, you know, not as rough on that front. He has an absolutely... He just has pick of the list. He's at a buffet for ultimates to take. Other than the Zeri ult, like, he has 4 really nice ultimates to pick up.
If this guy is going to throw out the Katarina in the finals and win the damn series by losing on it as well, I'm just going to throw my hat off to him, you know?
A man after your own heart there, Trouble.
Find a hat and then throw it at him.
And throw it.
Well, we're back into the game. We did have a couple of audio issues, but like last time, fairly easy and simple to correct. And back into this game, I'm expecting again it to be a fairly chilled start. I say that as Curb does get himself the apprehend off, but realistically, what we've seen from both of these teams across all 4 games so far is pretty relaxed starts. Let Den Voxney, let Attila get into a point where they can set up and carry.
Yeah, and one thing, because let's be honest, neither of these teams have been crazy early. We had the one game in game 3 where Dusty had the level 2 invade, sure, but these teams have not been angling towards early game. But this is, for one of the first times this series, if not the first, a winning early jungle matchup for Viking. Viking has pick of the litter in terms of where he can impact on the map. So I'm looking for him to see if he can start addressing some of X7's worries.
Now, of course, this might be a little bit difficult to do towards the ball side of the map because there's spell shields, there's a Nautilus that can anchor away, there's a Sylas that can dash. Obviously, speaking about Javan pre-level 6. But that Darius looks pretty delicious towards the top side of the map.
Mid-2 is fun as well,
we know
right?
very well putting Kerberos behind might actually give Chasey the opportunity to snowball his now, which he has been doing. Linkus, though, sneaking in, knowing that Chasey needs to crush that wave, but Viking has read the play as well.
How important
and
would this
he's
be?
chilling around. Ooh. That might have actually saved Dusty right here, because the fact that this missed means that you're stopping the play, but Viking is eyeing Linkus.
Does catch him out as well. They're looking for the damage, but Curb is standing in the middle
Darius.
of 2. Has himself the Q.
Oh!
Massive smack back into the apprehend.
Oh!
First blood for Kerberos.
He keeps going.
Chasey's being chased down.
Oh!
He flashes over. The bleed is going to tick. And Curb finds a double kill on the Darius.
Disaster for X7 and Dusty through the top side of the map, through the Talia jungle, show their hand and still get away with the play.
I feel like this series has been a case of which top laner can actually get ahead right here. Because Chasey, in the first 2 games, he snowballed that top lane, game was over. He started bleeding from top side of the map. Kerberos, getting these last 2 games towards top side of the map, started bleeding through the top side of the map for X7.
I am so excited to see this, but we're going to watch the replay first. Kerberos finding a absolutely phenomenal apprehend. The shove comes down as well, and he just looks so crisp.
And I cannot...
Darius loves playing into melee champions, so the second Chasey goes into Mega now, he's playing into his power.
And Kerberos loves playing that Darius, and for Kerberos as well. What a turnaround historically for this player. I mean,
Look at the team.
We feel it. The staff feels it. I'm sure you in the chat do. But again, Kerberos, history. There's a bit of weight of history on his side here.
I'm glad you mentioned the history of Kerberos as well, because when he started, the first finals he made it to, he got reverse swept by XL. He hasn't
Agonizing.
taken a championship in years. It would be his first, and to find it in a reverse sweep, it would be amazing. And versus a veteran player like Chasey, just a phenomenal top laner. These two, looking at the statistics, it is so Chasey favored, but these last 2 games have been all about Curb.
Doesn't matter though if you don't show it here. You
Yes.
don't show it now. This is stuff that's happened before. This is stats in the past. I want to think about what they're doing right here, right now, and how it stands. Kerberos is the one going to rule this matchup.
Absolutely agree. I think Chasey had the upper hand in the first 2 games. But then the second that Darius came through, the reset switch that we've been calling it, that this champion is for Kerberos, has actually paid its dues and back on the same champion right now, having the 2-0, getting that first item lead on to Chasey as well. So I was talking a little bit to Genax about the way that Gnar works. Wait!
He's low, he's ignited,
Linkus!
the wall comes down, Linkus is chasing him! Seismic shove from Linkus! Secures the kill! Demboxney, Kasing will try and take him out, but that's a kill for your AD carry as well! Dusty starting off with 4 kills versus X7!
How can X7 stop the bleeding? Your entire map is falling apart. Linkus goes top lane, Kerberos gets a double kill. Linkus goes bot lane gets a double kill. Linkus is actually on fire on that Talia.
And Linkus is flying in like a damned superhero. Cast the Weaver's Wall, and I mean, Attila, they just don't expect it. Viking is in the bot side of the map, but it's an overstep. Once again, Dusty, they are in X7's heads.
And I feel like Linkus is ahead of the play when it comes to Viking. And even though Viking's J4 was on fire in game number 1, right here, he's tried to make the plays himself, and he has just backfired. That Aliyah seems to be working so freaking well for Linkus. And again, going on to these high resource champions seems to be fitting the Dusty jungler here.
I'm so happy to see this growth from the side of Dusty in this series. We talk about, you know, we talked at the beginning of the day about how Dusty were a team who have been constantly improving the entire tournament long, and that hasn't changed. They look so much better from game 1 to game number 5, and every game has been an improvement. And our major criticism of Linkus was he didn't do anything. He sat by on his laurels and hasn't achieved anything. He is being proactive as hell right now on the Talia.
And, I mean, this goes across pretty much any profession you're in. I'm sure many of you in chat will experience this too, but like, consistently improving, always improving, it takes effort. It takes a very specific mindset. It can be grueling. It can be difficult. But when it comes to moments like this, the payoff is second to none. And as it stands, Dusty take a huge advantage in this last game.
I would also really like to give props to Zen because he had a fantastic run over in spring. He had a completely revamped roster coming into summer. The two common denominators in that roster is Zen and Buckland remaining from spring to summer. And honestly, I think development has been the name of the game, as you guys mentioned, for Dusty. But to be able to develop in a high-risk scenario, best of 5, where you're 0-2 backs against the wall, and your coach makes the call, screw the team comp, get your comfort, get your hearts and brains back into the game, is showing a lot. But also the coaching stuff and the support behind the players.
But also talking about the rebuilding of Dusty, they kept Backland short, but they took 4 benched players and put them in this roster, and they have made it to finals, and they have made it to game number 5.
What is it they call themselves? Team Rejects?
Team Rejects, Bargain Bin. I don't know. I don't mind what you call them.
Misfits is going on off. Oh. But, if they're benched, well, they're now...
Well, I heard Misfits are not making it to EU Masters, so Team Misfits is...
I feel like we're treading a line here.
Yeah, moving away from
I'll be completely fair, though.
But look at this.
LFL.
I mean, so coming out of a couple of the games, we can see the I mean, you can't read too much into body language.
Yes.
You can a little bit, and it's
you
fun.
You can right
but
now.
Look at this guy.
Look at Dan Voxney.
Look at Dan Voxney.
He's feeling himself.
You know, there are a couple of, like, dour looks coming off the stage in games 1 and game 2. We are sat here in game 5, the most important game of the split for these teams so far, and they are happy, and they are laughing, and that goes a long way in keeping spirits up.
This is the only game that matters at the summer tournament. This is the game. Game 5 of finals, and X7 are starting off 0-4.
And again, don't get us wrong. We're not saying that X7 is out of the picture. That's not the case at all. X7, where they thrive, is at their tier 2 towers. When everything is said and done and the other team thinks they've won, this is where X7 hit back. So, like you've mentioned previously, Nymera, the toughest cookie to crack. It's so difficult to beat X7. So, yes, you've gotten an advantage right here, but we can't forget as we get back into the game that X7 has come back from scenarios like this.
But today, that cookie, it's been crumbling. It has not really been as tough as I expected it to be, as many of us expected it to be. X7, they've overreached, they have miscalculated, and in this game, they cannot afford that. They are down already near enough 2,000 gold. That's gold onto very important people too.
Yeah, and look at what that means. Curb, half-bound axe in his inventory versus a longsword on Chasey. You look at the mid lane, you've now got the Merc treads onto backline, so these trades get a little bit more comfortable for him down there. Dan Voxney, I don't think has actually been back to base since finding that kill, so he's actually still probably got a bit of gold in his inventory to spend.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Tempt, actually, as the one person who's really starting to, well, leverage the early matchup. Ari does punish melees very heavily in the early levels with electrocute trades, with your W being point and click. You can't trade very well against that as a melee, so he's managed to open up a CS lead. Question is, what can you do with that? Because it hasn't been Viking and Tempt playing around what is one of the premier mid-jungles. It's just been Tempt on his own so far. We need to see him group up.
And I feel like when you don't have push in the mid lane, it becomes really difficult to play the side lanes. And Dusty have not had push in the mid lane for the entire game, yet they've got 2 kills up top and they got 2 kills down bottom. I think X7 either need to play around Tempt, who has the power spike right now.
Misses the hook, but dodges the charm. The solar flare comes down, and Backland will look for the chain lash. Tempt limps away from that action, but this should just give Dusty first rotation onto the Rift
How many things went wrong there?
So many. I mean, they just about landed the series of ultimates afterwards. The stolen solar flare, the first ult of the game that Backland chooses to land, but even with the missed pick, it's not going to be a kill. It forces Ari back to base. It means that you can't fight for this Herald as X7, and that is going to be first objective of the game to Dusty. They lost the earlier Dragon, but they claim one in the Herald.
And again, remember what we said when the Nautilus was about to be locked in and we saw Sivir. The second you see Sivir, you're like, fine, you don't have to play
Leave
for
him alone.
dominant lane. You just leave Sivir down bot lane. He's one of the most undivable champions up there with Ezreal because of his shield as well. And Stand on his Nautilus loves to roam, loves to get these picks on the map. And wherever Stand is, you know that Dusty are going to look for a pick.
Ooh, Viking looked to cancel a cheeky recall at that point, not able to do so, but at least X7 have got some control around this mid lane. Tempt actually going to pick up a second plate again, using that early matchup. Has not been forced to go Merc Treads this game, going towards the cooldown boots. And in this game, when you have less dedicated setup, when you've got a Gnar who's a little more temperamental, when you've got a Zeri that needs a little help pinning stuff down, going towards the extra cooldown, which gives you more safety as well with your ultimates, I think that is the right choice. Just make it hard for Dusty to pick you off.
Well, we're seeing Curb again up in the top side. Is down in farm, but has a wave pushing into him. He's got the Sheen. He's building towards
Who
his
needs
first
farm when you're
item.
farming champions, Hipra?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, he's got a CS deficit, but he is most certainly got a gold lead. I'd actually like to have a look at the gold right now and just see where the kind of gold spread is. You can see top lane, 600 up in the top side, 80 carry, just a 500. That was really hard maths.
1.3k in the jungle, though, for Linkus.
I mean,
This
Linkus has been so proactive.
And this doesn't get better from here because you're Jarvan, and while you do kill jungle clamps at most pops.
Ooh. Flash pop, though.
That was Chasey. Chasey's flash being forced away whilst Kerberos is keeping his. So the second that Mega Gnar comes in, we said how Darius thrives versus melee champions.
Oh,
Viking.
okay. What is this?
Do find a cheeky hook there onto Kasing. Stend has to be careful. They lock down. They get a three-man knock up into the dunk. Then Voxney may just be falling here. He flashes into the bush to lose some vision, but Tempt is jumping over the wall. He's going to take out Stend. He's got the resets. Attila will chase in, and Tempt will make sure that Attila does secure the kill. Dusty just give up 2 bot side.
Do not count X7 out yet, because through these fights, through all of these knockups and the chain CCs that they find, they will manage to find a way back into this game. Look at that. The Ari cashes in one, Zeri cashes in another one.
I mean, the final boss of the NLC has an extra health bar yet, Dusty. And this is, for the first time, a bit of an overreach from Dusty, because what ends up happening is Viking gets punted through that field, but then dashes through the flag drag combo after that point, after the CC's ended, manages to get, for not the first time this series, a really good amount of CC and damage from the Jarvan.
And I feel like the Cataclysm was very flashable from both the Voxnet and Linkus right there, but they decided to flash afterwards. And this is something in execution that is very minor, but has won them fights in games 3 and 4. The fact that they're so quick on the flash trigger to get away from the Cataclysm. We saw it from Backland in games 3 and 4 as well, but Linkus, yet again, playing for that bot side. They know Attila is all alone in the bot lane. They want to cash in on more platings.
Backland's here, gets the steal and ultimate. Tempt doesn't have Spirit Rush to follow and is not even roaming down here. This is one of the times where actually having the gold split between your AD carry and your jungler makes a lot of sense. You've already got the Leandries, you've already got your cooldown boots onto this Talir. While you are giving gold over to that Ahri, the Talir is becoming a third, well, an extra damage threat. Call it a fourth. I mean, Darius is in the game, right?
You've got 4, yeah.
You've got a lot of damage on the side of Dusty.
He's starting to get a little bit problematic. Backland, on the other hand, though, he is down. He did early build into the Merc Tread, so it hasn't mean that he's got a Mythic versus Tempt, who's finished up that Everfrost. And Tempt now, with that kill and assist in his pocket as well, he's sitting quite comfortable on this Ahri. So he could now do what Backland has been doing for the last 2 games versus his team. But a lot of plate gold was given over to Den Voxney, and again, it looks like Dusty are trying to plan a game around funneling as much gold into Den Voxney as possible, as it looks like X7 rotating over towards the bot side, but there's no dragon, and bot lane of reset.
Because the bot lane of Dusty have been playing the reset so cleverly, where there's nothing to play towards the bottom of the map. Oh,
he's in trouble. I think he might just die here. He's got the Ariel trying to dash away, but he's going to get gnawed into the wall. It's a mountain map for you, Backland, and he is caught out. They do commit 3 members for that kill, though.
Talking about clever resets.
yeah, but I mean, Chasey manages to use some of his pressure topside to respond to that play. Rarely do we see top laners roaming down towards mid, but now we see Kerberos getting cut off from the top.
Yeah, he has actually got Linkus in the back pocket. He can get a heal off. No, he can't. But there is an answer out by Linkus, and Viking is burning so low. Is able to flash away to safety, but in comes Stend. Stend has ultimate, but they're not going to pull the trigger onto Viking. They're just going to trade 1 for 1, while Den Voxney gets first turret blood with plates as well in the bot side.
This game has been broken open by many scenarios. Bot lane going down, top lane turret platings, Kerberos dying right now, thinking he has the upper hand into Viking and Chasey. And again, we've said with Darius, you want to be playing in the middle of the cyclone on top of these carries. But right here, because of all the CC thrown at him, he
Look
fell
how close
so
this Q
low.
is. If that Q hits, that is probably a 2 for none. If that Q hits, because remember, you gain something like, you know, 10% missing HP per enemy champion hit. You hit 2 of them, that's a heck of a lot of HP coming back your way, and you've used a lot of your burst already. Milliseconds off of what would have been even more destabilizing play. That's a flash!
Oh, they actually do look for the flash into the depth charge, but Tempt very quick to dodge away from that one, and is not going to get caught by the Nautilus hook either.
Very well timed. If you look at the ulti ticking right now on Tempt, he just got his ult up right now. So they had literally a 10-second window where Stent could go mid lane, try to catch the Ahri. Very well done again. We said he's Nautilus. Pema roams the map. He's known for the champion. Dusty has picked it so many times, and right now he has been everywhere, and everywhere he is. There's a pick happening. Then
Voxnay's popped the ultimate. He does have no flash available, no cleanse. Dodging out on the charms. The Weaver's wall comes down.
It's the fight!
Comes the backup. They're looking for the knock up onto Viking. Viking, low HP, and Backlund will make sure that Linkus can secure the kill. They jump in forward once again. Kasing trying to chase her a little bit more, but Curb slides in, able to take down Attila. Chasey being chased down. There's the hook. Here's the dunk. Double kill for Kerberos, and Dusty punish X7.
And if that early game wasn't enough, first fight of the mid game goes to Dusty as well. They are so poised. They have worked for it. They have bled. They have sweat. They have cried for a chance at the reverse sweep.
And the man on your screens right here who's going to put down the wall in just a little bit has been the man on the hour. So then Voxen is going to absorb so much pressure from X7. X7 is overextended, and Linkus with a fantastic wall separating X7 and putting down all of these damage. I think we criticized Linkus for being a little bit invisible in the first 2 games, not necessarily doing much, just farming out the game. But right here, he's been farming down heads of X7.
Dusty, it might have looked like a bit of a fumble bot side earlier, but they strike back. Look how happy the backroom staff are. They are having a phenomenal time in game number 5.
And right here, this 83.9% kill participation. Dusty lives and dies by Linkus' sword. This guy starts things for his team, and when he's that much on fire...
He's starting things indeed. Kasing goes golden, and down he goes. Just as you sing his praises, Linkus proves why you've been doing so. He is stepping up. He's got a book, he's got a mask, and he is ready to play in game number 5. Dusty are poised to reverse sweep X7.
And I love the way Dusty is snowballing this. Yeah, I am a big, big fan of Medros, particularly when you buy it just before your big mid-game fights. Dusty have the lead. They have damage on their jungler, and Linkus goes, let's trade in that library card and let's get that chance to just put this game away for good. Put the finals away for good.
And I love how you mentioned that, because Linkus is now the primary AP damage dealer for the sort of Dusty. Back all he has to do is be that beefy frontline.
Build a dead man, Silas,
just build Hourglass second item on the Silas and just be a nuisance, steal a bunch of ultimates from the side of X7 and get these engages going, because the damage, mainly the AP damage, is coming in from Linkus. So the fact that Dusty have very clear scenarios of what they're doing and what their job is in every single game. You mentioned it as well, knowing how they play their wombos, knowing what they're playing for. This is Dusty in peak.
Yeah. Name another team in the NLC that will play this comp that Dusty are doing, and especially play as well as they are doing. This feels like a very uniquely Dusty thing.
I don't think we've seen another jungler playing the Talia, correct me if I'm wrong.
I thought Viking did. I might be completely wrong there, but I swear there's a game.
Well, maybe Linkus is so good he's the only one I can think of right now. He's not here at this play. Doesn't need to be, and he does have an ult if he wants to join.
Oh, Chasey, you are in a whole world of hurt. He is about to gnaw out, though. The heal
that's
goes
a bad
wide.
TP.
He actually gets the gnaw back. The TP's coming in, but they're looking to chase. Temps jumps in, secures himself the kill. The hook goes wide as Backline chases onto Chasey. He can't quite get it. The Everfrost will catch him out, and X7 have just found their opportunity to punish everyone on the side of Dusty. Temps able to lock him down in place, and it's just too slow from Dusty. X7 find the punish.
Okay, I take it back. That was not a bad TP. It gets Temps into the fight, and X7 They pick up some much-needed gold. This Ari is starting to get some gold now. This is X7 starting to stabilize, if just a little bit.
And there were some mechanical misplays right here that costed Dusty this gang. The ultimate is gonna go through, but Stand Qs a minion very crucially, which allows Chasey to reach the wall to get that Gnar ultimate.
And Darius missed his Q as well. It was a number of missed skill shots in... We called X7 making forced errors earlier in the series. These ones, at a very important moment, are unforced errors, which are putting Dusty into less of a lead than what they should be. We've seen Sten now miss about 3 or 4 combos which he's looking for on his most played, his most comfortable, his most successful champion. In X7, they aren't letting them get away with that for free.
Oh, we're back into the
Hold
action
on.
as the tower goes down. Charm landing onto Kurt, but it looks like it's just going to be the tower forced down. Every time X7 punch back, Dusty punch back with something in return. It is a brawl in game number 5 between these two teams.
And I think also Dusty is being very wisely reserved right here. They know what the objective is. They take the objective, they dissipate after this. They're like, we have a top wave to catch, they have a bot wave to catch. Let's get our carries towards the sides, push that wave, and then go for the next objective. The next objective of the map is going to be the 3rd dragon, possibly for Dusty. So they need to make sure that people don't die, they set up their vision correctly, and they have all the ways to get Linkus' Talia for a perfect wall setup.
Yeah, and speaking of Linkus' Talia as well, another thing, quick itemization update, actually stopped halfway through the Zhonya's build, which I find is really, really good. Because if you put it this way, if you get to sit on that stopwatch and don't use it, you didn't need to finish that Zhonya.
Exactly.
If this can pay off, if Linkus manages to position well, stay safe. You've got a stasis for one time, and if you win a fight anyway, you'll have the gold to finish the Zhonyas. Go towards that Blinding Jewel. Get that extra magic pen. Be the damage source. I really like the way Linkus is saying, this is the way I do most efficient damage, because even as a jungler, he is a huge damage threat for Dusty right now.
Yeah, and I guess technically he doesn't have to finish the Zhonyas until he burns the stopwatch.
No, of course not. Just sit on it.
It actually gives him a lot of breathing room in his build and gets some more pen to deal with these members of X7. Dusty rotating a couple of people over towards Tempt in the top side, but that ward does spot them out. Tempt falls back, and it's just going to be a little bit of a cooldown here as Demvoxny going to spot out Viking, and Attila has still got this mid lane tower to hide under, and he's now a 2.5 item Sivir, so waves in mid lane going to be very hard to push into this tower.
And this is a very crucial 50 seconds right here for setting down your vision before the dragon fight begins. Very crucially, let's keep track of all the summoners. Chasey will not have a flash Gnar possibility because he's missing the summoner. Same for Viking, cannot reach all the way into the backline. On the other hand, for Dusty, backline doesn't care if he has his flash. He's going to be that front line, focus team on the Silas, has that stopwatch, has the Everfrost. Everyone else have their flashes available, whether they want to build backwards or overreach for a kill. So Dusty right here are going into this fight with a summoner advantage.
Okay, so Dusty managed to kind of brute force their way into the river. They get that mid-pro, and they get a apprehend onto the Gnar too.
Oh, Chasey's going low! He's dumped by Curb. And that is a man advantage to Dusty. This should be their 3rd dragon of the game, a mountain dragon as well, just to pad even more resistances. You said the Sivir is going to be hard to deal with. She's now going to get even tankier. It's going to be so hard to handle Demvoxny. And he is 1 away from that mountain soul.
Namera, I'm counting 14 pages so far.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? You buy something like a Magi's in a very fight-filled game. If you're the one that's surviving the fights, it doesn't even matter if your team loses. As long as you live, you're gaining value, extra value. And in this game where Linkus has done so much work, expect him to just explode people like we just saw with Chasey there, adding that extra bit of damage in. But Chasey, we have praised him so much. That was a big mistake for when X7 were poised, actually, to fight.
Yeah.
And I feel like for Linkus, it has been a redemption arc story from not doing too much to 100% kill participation, to enabling both top lane and bot lane 5 minutes into the game. Right now, Dusty's game is won for them. All they need to do is just textbook, wait 4 minutes, get that soul, start forcing fights when you're ahead.
Really big pickup there actually coming in on the base from Demvoxny. Goes back, gets a pickaxe and a stopwatch.
Yeah.
He knows that this next fight could genuinely decide so much of the tempo. It won't decide the game, but it really will decide the tempo. This could be the difference between getting Baron and not getting Baron.
And that's something that G2 do a lot. They will sort of sync their stopwatches together, and they know that they will have them for the next big fight.
It's like, now is the time.
Exactly, that they want to engage. engage. So you've got 2 on Linkers and Buckle, of course, in the likes of an Hourglass. Stand.
It's the engage.
Wall's coming down. It's going to split the fight up somewhat. Voxney on the wrong side of the wall, though. Deus had that ultimate as Attila is trying to get some shots off on the side. Oh! With a free-man dunks from Kerberos coming in left, right, and center. A triple kill for Kerb on the Darius. A Baron to boot. Stopwatches be damned. They're not even necessary. Dusty take the upper hand.
Backlund's LeBlanc brings us the silver scrapes, and it is shoving X7 into a potential silver medal. Wonderful playmaking from the mid laner of Dusty.
And talking about shoving, his Gnar was so beautiful in this fight as well. Dusty, we said that we're bunking up the stopwatch for a potential fight, and Sten has always been looking for blood.
And this is another example of the combo of the stolen Gnar ult being absolutely slammed onto the terrain. We saw him threatening it with the Weaver's Wall, and this is right out of the top drawer of playmaking. Backlund, take a bow.
I counted how many auto attacks Attila threw out in this fight.
How many
Take a guess. 2.
Oh, my word.
And one of them was an empty one. It was thrown towards a wall. Only one that found a target. The wall from Linkas completely blocked out the Zeri from playing the game.
The pride of Iceland, Dusty, looking so formidable here. The guys in the back room are having an amazing time watching this.
Let's also remember 3 out of 5 members in that all-pro team that was voted by analysts, casters, other players from the league as well were Dusty players. Linkas, Buckland, Sten, all Dusty players in the NLC all-pro team. And it shows the caliber of players that they are and how they can turn around a reverse sweep.
Teleport, it's the mid in it, it's the bot in the turret again. Can Teb do anything?
Looking for it, they do catch multiple members out. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Voxney's not in the fight yet. Backlund holding out on that Gnar for the perfect opportunity. He gets knocked up. In comes Voxney. In comes Kerberos. Dusty are taking this fight little by little. Everybody goes down.
That's it!
Curb. Ace coming in. They might just have done this. They might just have been able to crack open the base, crack open the game. Voxney will be able to take down this tower, take an inhibitor. They may push for more. Death timers are unbelievably long. Have Dusty done it? Have Dusty found the reverse sweep versus X7? Tower number 1 down. Tower number 2 will be quick to follow. A reverse sweep for Dusty.